So let's start with Anupama Bose. Anupama is a producer and visiting professor involved in producers programs at key Indian institutes. She's been the India distributor for the Oscar winner The Lives of Others and as executive producer for various acclaimed films. Jorum is her debut feature film made in collaboration with Zee Studios. So, hi Anupama, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
So, Anupama, this is your debut feature film. Tell me what have been your main challenges and, of course, the main wins also about putting this film together.
Yeah, I don't think any film is easy, so challenges are what they are. I think I shall probably talk about the good things that happened. And so I've known Dave for years, and we've been wanting to do something together. One thing that I was very sure about is that it has to be accessible, the film, and it has to have a dialogue, a conversation within it, uh, which is about people, survival, issues that largely engage and they come from the minorities, the marginalized, and stories around that. And so, therefore, I think this was the big thing that just dropped in my lap. And I've always known Dave's work as something that triggers conversations. So, over here, there were lots of triggers. And I think that was the good thing that happened. The good thing that happened was the people coming in together, the lovely women that you see here, all of them. So मेरे लिए जोरम जो कहानी है ना, it's an avenging mother, actually a grieving mother, and a father trying to protect his child. Yeah, and when I look at it from that lens, the women become very interesting. It's almost like all three of them are at different points in their life, but they probably come from the same core. Yeah, in this world of men, they are women who are trying to survive on their terms, bring up their children, or be children to their parents, to their families. They are these women who are trying to find their space and make a win of it. And it's like I will leave the rest of the character description to all three of them. But this was for me the most fascinating thing in this film. And like you rightly said in the beginning, like everybody when we were chatting offline, that it was so great, all of them. I think that's where my core interest comes from. That I think that's I really got lucky with this film.
Yeah. Yeah. But it must have been challenging because it was your first production. So, tell us a little about that process, also of being in this. I mean, you have represented other films, you've been the executive producer in very big films as well. But what has been the challenge for this particular film?
So we, I think, shot across all kinds of terrains. We've done jungles, rivers, mines, all kinds, and it was very crunched. Like, yes, we had a studio, but studio doesn't mean कि 100 रुपए की चीज आप 150 खर्चा करोगे ना. It is always कि पैसे कम ही होते हैं. And within that, I think 28 days to pull off a film like this was very challenging. Extremely challenging. I think that was the biggest challenge. That within that resource, how do we kind of get it together? जैसे माइंस में हमारा होता था हमेशा every day it rained. So every morning at around 3-4, my line producer and EP would go to the mines, take the water out from one end, take the gitti because you can't get bahar ka stones in, right? So they would pick gitti from one end, put it into the pani wala ilaka so that it becomes navigable, and then they would call ठीक है भर गया अब आ जाओ. So we would start the day like that. So it was little things like this, quite crazy. I had actually picked out a video. ये सब खड़े हैं, आराम से सब काम चल रहा है. अचानक there is धूल. Guys, you remember? वो फैक्ट्री के पीछे जब हम शूट कर रहे थे, खुले एरिया में, and suddenly there was this dust storm out of nowhere. सब ऐसे हवाई में उड़ रहा है और it was crazy. So that was the landscape we kind of shot in. So really, it was more that than anything else.
And this was actually shot in the mines in Jharkhand. I mean, it's
Yeah. This is, in fact, it's a difficult terrain because it's on the Jharkhand-Odisha border. It took us, I think, 3 months to find the locations. Every day, my line producer from Jharkhand would travel and look for locations. Every day, videos would come and they would say, and then we realized we were looking at the wrong end. We were looking at the coal bed. So then, and what they was very clear about was the open cast iron mines, the red of the mitti, the dust flying, difficult landscape, and that because we knew that's the climax. तो उस तरफ जो है वो बहुत मुश्किल इलाका है, बिकॉज यू गो थ्रू द जंगल्स एंड दैट्स आल्सो अ डिफिकल्ट टेरेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ सिक्योरिटी. Like on all
Hmm.
days of shoot in the mines, we had the sale guys. They had kind of figured out black cat security for us, so it was that kind of
But
setup. Yeah,
it's interesting that the film was about the rebels, and and then you were actually have to
in the
also might have to deal with them. Yeah, yeah.
in fact, that there is this one stream crossing that
Yes.
Manoj's
Mm,
character does. वहां तो
mm,
पानी के लिए आते हैं, वो जंगल ही
mm,
वैसा है. So
mm,
yeah, everybody
mm,
would tell us, and but they was very confident, and he was like, मुझे नहीं लगता कुछ गलत हो सकता है क्योंकि हमारी नीयत सही है.
mm.
I think
That's
it's the
nice.
niyat that kept us going. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of good endeavors in the world start out with the niyat, but I think we need a lot of God's grace also to protect us at a lot of
Yeah.
points. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
guess
but
that
it
worked
is
as well.
Niyat. I think for everybody it was Niyat. These three women who are sitting here right now, कितना मुश्किल था इनके लिए यार. In that, I mean, we end of the day are running around. We're not up on screen to maintain the look, to maintain your equilibrium, to catch the point where you have to perform, to do your thing, and in a crunch time. I think all of them, it came from Niyat, it came from, and then came the hard work, then came the perseverance, then came the fun on the shoot despite everything. But yeah, ये फन तो ये बताएंगे, मैं तो परफॉर्म नहीं कर रही थी ना, इनका होगा असली फन चेक.
So, Anupama, a lot of people have now talked about your contribution and the way you've supported them. And also, what's coming out is how much attention has been given to the characterization and also to, developing this backstories, about how really getting into the character also requires you to know where the character has come from. So, as somebody who has been in part of the industry for a while and seeing all these, according to me, a lot of films of toxic masculinity seem to be dominating our TV screens and our cinema halls these days. Why do you think it's so difficult to make a gender conscious film? And why are gender conscious films losing out on public attention?
I just think there are a lot of storytellers with gender conscious subjects, and मुझे नहीं लगता किसी को भी डोरमैट बनना पसंद है जिंदगी में, चाहे वो मर्द हो चाहे वो औरत हो, ठीक? चाहे वो
Mm.
बच्चा हो. Like everybody likes dignity and to be at par with everybody else. तो मैं ये नहीं कहूँगी कि जेंडर, आई मीन, आई डोंट थिंक इट्स द इंडस्ट्री एज मच. आई थिंक लेट्स फर्स्ट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द पीपल. या वो कैसा मुल्क होता है और वो कैसे लोग होते हैं. एंड मैं सिर्फ इंडिया की बात, मैं वर्ल्ड वाइड बात कर रही हूँ, जहाँ आई मीन लुक एट इजराइल एंड पैलेस्टीन राइट नाउ, कि आपको फर्क नहीं पड़ता जब आप सुबह उठते हैं और इतने बच्चों के वीडियोस आप देखते हैं जिनकी माँ या तो मतलब माँ वेट कर रही है कि बच्चा बस किसी तरह अब सो ही जाए जिंदगी भर के लिए, बिकॉज इट्स सो पेनफुल टू वॉच योर चाइल्ड लाइक दैट, राइट? सिमिलरली विद वुमेन, आई एम सेइंग वो कैसा मुल्क है जहाँ पे आप रैंट करते रहते हो कि यार इस तरह की टॉक्सिक मैस्कुलिनिटी और ये दिखा रहे हैं वो. द फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज दोस आर ग्रॉसर्स. वो सारी सुपरहिट फिल्में हैं, कोई भी वजह हो. तो अगर वो कहानियां ही भाएंगी, क्योंकि भाई रही है क्लियरली, आपके थिएटर्स भर रहे हैं, और आप चाहे उसकी निंदा करने के लिए आप उसे देखो या आप चाह कर खुद को ढूंढ के उसे देखो, द फैक्ट इज यू आर मेकिंग दीज फिल्म्स वर्क, यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट. सो देन, और उसके वजह पर जब आप when there are films that are sensitive, that have issues, वो वर्क नहीं करती हैं, तो आप ही तो रिजेक्ट कर रहे हो ना वो कहानियां. तो फिर किस बात का, मतलब किस बात की शिकायत और किस बात की बहस कि, और ये क्या है कि हमारे यहाँ वैसी कहानियां नहीं बनती. तो जब बनती है तो आप क्या जिम्मेदारी निभाते हैं एज एन ऑडियंस? फॉरगेट एज एन ऑडियंस, एज पीपल आप कौन सी जिम्मेदारी निभाते हो? क्या आपके घर में आपकी बीवी बेटी इन सबकी उस तरह की इज्जत है? जब आप अपनी पत्नी से एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि सुबह 5 बजे जब दूध वाला घंटी बजाए तो हमेशा वही उठ के जाए, आप कभी ना जाए, तो ये इज्जत, ये तो शुरू यहीं से ही हो रहा है ना. तो जिस मुल्क में या जिस समाज में इस तरह से आप डील करते हैं चीजों को, तो वहां फिर कहानियां भी आप जैसी ही होंगी.
Right.
बाकी अगर हम वैसे अगर मैं जोरम के एक्सपीरियंस में आऊं तो this script is something that Dev has lived with. They actually Manoj and Dev together. Manoj sir and Dev lived with it for almost 7 years. And what is incredible is the kind of engagement. ये जो सबके पास बैक स्टोरीज है, uh, विदेशी ने अपनी बैक स्टोरी बताई, फूलों ने थोड़ी सी बताई, समक्खा ने तो नहीं बताई. इन सबकी बैक स्टोरीज थी जिन पे इतना प्रेप था, और ये प्रेप ना हर जगह दिखता है. 3 महीने से अगर लोकेशन ढूंढे जा रहे थे, सबको पता था क्यों वर्क नहीं कर रहा है. ये बहुत ब्रीफ करते हैं, बहुत बात करते हैं, नोट्स होते हैं. हमारे पास अगर हम बैठते थे तो हमारे पास नोट्स होते थे. तो आप जब मुझसे पूछती हैं कि चैलेंजेस, मुझे नहीं पता, क्योंकि मैं वो पढ़ रही थी, मुझे चीजें दिख रही थी, एंड वी जस्ट हैड टू मेक दोज थिंग्स हैपन, राइट. मैं औरत थी एज अ प्रोड्यूसर, पर मेरी टीम जो है, माय एग्जीक्यूटिव प्रोड्यूसर इज पंकज, यंग बॉय. Line producer is Ashwin, and I'm a young boy. Yeah, if there was an umbrella everywhere, it is because of these boys. So I'm sure ऐसे मर्दों की कमी नहीं है जिनमें इंसानियत हो, जो डिग्निटी और रिस्पेक्ट देना जानते हो, जो को एग्जिस्ट करना जानते हो. मुझे लगता है इट्स अ टू वे प्रोसेस. और अगर इस देश में कहानियां ऐसी नहीं बनती तो उसकी बहुत सारी वजह है, और मुझे लगता है सबसे पहले तो सामाजिक वजह है. फिल्में समाज को बदल देंगी, ये तो बहुत ज्यादा हो गया. मतलब नहीं, मतलब एक, आप ये तो नहीं कह रही कि आज का तुम मैथ सम सही कर दोगे तो तुम्हारा समाज बदल जाएगा. तो फिल्म पर इतना प्रेशर क्यों, है ना? शादी पे गाने नहीं बजेंगे तो आप नाचोगे कैसे? वो तो सबको चाहिए, द बिग बिग इंडियन वेडिंग. सो लेट अस नॉट पुट इट दिस वे. आई थिंक वी शुड जस्ट फ्लिप इट एंड स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग कि वो कैसा समाज है जो टॉक्सिक मैस्कुलिनिटी को सुपर हिट बनाता है, और जो एक सेंसिटिव औरत की बनाई हुई औरत की कहानी, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, उसको तवज्जो नहीं देता है. तो आई डोंट थिंक इट्स अ फिल्म प्रॉब्लम, आई थिंक इट्स अ समाज प्रॉब्लम.
That's a good point. And in fact, a lot of speakers on eShe have brought up this point about how it's difficult to get funding even for films with lead
Yeah.
female characters and nuanced characters. So,
The one that is really difficult for me right now is a very small film, first time, female director. She's been a writer, very sensitive, young adults, 3 girls coming of age. That's the problem film. That's the one that's going to be a very challenge to set up. And I just want to go back to a very basic thing. I just want to talk about the 3 women sitting over here right now from Joram. Okay, who are they? What are their choices? And each of them, the kind of choices they've made and the way I know them, in some ways tells you finally, एक तरफ तो है यार कि समाज, अगर जैसे मैंने पहले कहा कि सामाजिक इशू ज्यादा लगता है, फिल्म मेकिंग इशू कम लगता है. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं आई एम सेइंग दैट द इंडस्ट्री, द एक्टर्स डू नॉट हैव रिस्पॉन्स. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट. या, and to therefore underline that part, that what is it that proactive action can bring forth, what is it that you do in your own way. So this young girl Megha Mathur, 2 फिल्में choices देखिए आप, झिनी मिनी चदरिया और जोराम. Yeah, she plays a lead. She's an orchestra girl from Varanasi with a certain kind of journey. Yeah, in the thick of hounding men. Yeah, that kind of, मतलब टॉक्सिक मैस्कुलिनिटी एक चीज है, ये तो अब्यूसिव एंड मतलब इट्स अनदर एस्पेक्ट ऑफ सोसाइटी व्हिच इज वेरी परमिसिबल. मतलब ये मेले जो हैं वहां उस प्रांत के, वो किसी से छिपे तो है नहीं. बड़े बड़े राजनीतिक पार्टीज वो मेले करवाते हैं, और ये शोषण होता है. ये पहले तो ये सार्वजनिक तरीके से होता है, उसके बाद उन लड़कियों के साथ होता है. सो हर चॉइस ऑफ रोल्स टू प्ले अ लीड ओवर देयर एंड देन टू प्ले अ विदेशी इन जोरम, ओके, व्हिच इज नॉट द लीड, बट it's the kind of homework कि वो दुमका जाके रहती है, you know. I think it's these kind of choices that somewhere define you as an actor, that also shape equally. It's a, and I wish Megha great journeys, and she must, someone like her must have a great journey for so many others to know कि यार ये भी तरीका हो सकता है अपनी एक्टिंग जिंदगी, अपनी आर्टिस्ट जिंदगी को निभाने का. Now Nimi, for me, I mean, I don't think she has this memory, but I do. Years ago, when Veena was alive, I was actually filming in Adi Shakti. I was doing an interview with Vinapani Chavda. Spent a lot of time at that point of time, and it changed my life completely. Matlab, I had gone in with a lot of, I was going through a churn in my personal life. It gave me so much strength. This is way back in 2002, I think. That time, Nimi and Vinay, I think you had just come. You had already done Savitri and all that, so you were there, and both of you were there. And I just remember you as this young, vibrant team. And Veena spoke so much about you, the kind of art, the kind of when I say art, I don't just mean the aesthetics or the one particular form. I mean that entire knowledge base, rigor, practice that you bring in, which is very internal. जो actually सबकी बातों में सुनाई दे रहा है ना कि वो कितना homework करते हैं, कितना internal काम है. From there to today, there are so many people in Bollywood, for lack of a better word. There's so many people from Bombay. They are directors. One of them is a major studio head. One of them is a major producer. There's so many actors who go to Adi Shakti to do that workshop because they give you life skills. They just don't create actors. They create people with strength, with internal strength, with the ability to think in a holistic manner. And I think that's contribution. Then if I come to Smita, I mean, उनकी तो journey ही वैसी है. चाहे वो जोगवाल हो, मतलब the kind of roles, the films that she has done to reach here. Forget the roles, I will just talk about what happened on set. कि इन्होंने कहा ना अपनी बच्ची के साथ आई थी. हम लोगों की बहुत हालत खराब है, मेरी, पंकज की, अश्विन की, कि this young mother is going to come with this infant. एक काफी नहीं था, अब दो, है ना, क्योंकि जोरम भी तो सेट पे है और to be having to manage. अच्छा वहां क्या है, the child is the actor, the parents are there, the guardians are there. तो हम लोग they had a van, उनका अलग से vanity था जहाँ पे we just made sure बच्चे के लिए जो सामान हो वो सब चीजें controlled, सफाई. इनके केस में ये तो खुद सेट पे है और सेट पे ही नहीं, ऐसे सेट पे है, धूल मिट्टी वो सब है ना. तो एंड वो मनोस्थिति तो मतलब मेंटल हाइजीन उस वक्त जो एक्टर का है वो तो अलग ही है. तो to be able to navigate through all this, I think is where change is. Yeah, and I think I'm very privileged that I work with such people, that I was able to work with such women. The characters came to life and became what they did. Also because it was these women, it was people like this who were living them. I think that is my biggest takeaway from this film and from having worked with this team. The film is because it's people like this who were there. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Thank you so much, Anupama. Thank you.
We are all very I love you, you love me kind of. ये अलग nepotism है.